What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here again with Droid Life. Got the entire current Pixel family in front of me. Actually, these two are discontinued already. So I only have the one current Pixel family member, which is about to arrive on doorsteps. And well, because it's about to arrive, we want to make sure you're taken care of. So here's the first 10 things to do with your Pixel 4a. If you are new to this concept, well, the basic idea is you have a new phone, you want to start dominating life with it right now, and this video gives you 10 things to kind of set your focus on right now that will get your phone in a good enough shape to hopefully just let you do just that, dominate life. So these are 10 things, and we're going to walk through them fairly quickly here. Now, the first thing we're going to focus on has been staring at you since I first started talking. Yes, we're talking about this, the fingerprint reader. So this phone, physical capacitive touchpad fingerprint reader here, the good kind. It's funny, actually, $350 phone has the good fingerprint reader. Well, not those phones, don't even have a fingerprint reader, but like the $1,000 Galaxy phones have the really terrible ones in the display that don't work very well. Cheap phone, good one, expensive phones, bad one. Anyway, I get it's for design reasons, but anyway, this has the good fingerprint reader, and it is a good one. You just put your finger on there, unlocks. It's super quick, very sensitive. I love it. It's been refreshing to finally get to use one again. During your initial setup, it'll ask you if you want to add those. You should probably add those. If for some reason you skipped it, this is how you find it and set them up after the fact. Settings, security, and then you want pixel imprint. Is that a Twilight reference? Ignore that. So I've got two fingers set up here. You can see I've got both index fingers. See that? Because when you hold your phone, that's kind of the finger right in the middle there. So it makes sense. But if you want to add one, you just tap add fingerprint, and then you just start touching your finger to it, and it'll tell you, good job, lift your finger, good job, lift your finger, good job. And it only takes, I think, like 8 or something like that. Google's is really simple to set up, and it's also one of the fastest and most accurate over the long haul, I feel like. At least they were in the past. So that's how you set it up. Interesting tip here. If you ever wonder which finger is which, if you just put your finger on it from this screen, it'll light up the one that corresponds. So see, that was finger 2. Here is my first one, and then finger 3 is the one I just set up. And it should be that one. That is. So it is. And if you ever want to delete one, you just hit that and it'll delete, and there you go. So anyways, you should set that up. And of course, before you do that, you'll have to establish a screen lock, which is pattern, password, PIN, that sort of thing. And yes, you should have that. You should secure your phone. And then the fingerprint is that sort of convenient security we like to talk about, where it lets you, bypass it easily. Next up, then we'll talk about gesture navigation. So as you can see on the bottom here, this is Android, so of course it's 10, so it runs, it has gesture navigation. So to use this, now you can also switch this back to the 3 button. If you're coming from some other phone that has the 3 button navigation, you can switch back to that. I'll actually show you that. We go into settings, go down to system, gestures, and then system navigation right here. And you can switch to the old school 3 button if you prefer that, but gesture navigation, that's kind of the future of Android. So we're just going to show you how that works. And how that works, just so you're familiar, is you swipe up from the bottom and let go, and that takes you home. If you swipe up and hold for a second, that takes you into the app switcher. And from here, you can swipe things away, tap on things to go into them. If you go in and look at something, and this is basically from any screen, and you want to go back, and since you don't have a back down here, from either edge, you just swipe in and that goes back a screen. So if I tap here and I swipe from over here back, and you can see there's a little arrow action there. It takes me back screen. So again, swipe up and hold to go to the app switcher, and you can scroll through things. Swipe up and let go takes you home. And then if you're in something and tap and want to go back a screen, you swipe in from the edge, and that goes back. Gesture navigation, super simple once you kind of get the hang of it. I used to hate it. I've gotten used to it. I still don't love it, but you get the idea. It's kind of where we're going. Speaking of gestures, though, let's actually go back into settings. So there are some gestures to know. So if you're in settings and you scroll all the way down to system, gestures, where I just was, there's just some things to know in here. Since this has that rear fingerprint reader, there is this cool little option where you can use that as a sort of a touchpad. So if you turn this on and I swipe down on it, it will get me into my notification area. And you can swipe down, I believe, one more time. Yep. And that'll expand all of your quick settings as well. And then you can swipe up on it and it'll go away. So again, what I'm doing is swiping down like that, and see that's showing, and I can swipe down again, and that gets me the whole panel. And if I want to make it go away, I just swipe up on it. See, now it's gone. So it's one of those little shortcuts. I actually don't leave it on personally just because I hit it mistakenly and it bugs me, but that is an option and you may love it. Jump to camera, you for sure want to leave on. That is the double tap on the power button takes you into the camera. It is the fastest way to get into your camera, so make sure you leave that one on. There's your system navigation. Oh, flip to camera. So if I'm in the camera and I do this little wrist twist, it flips it over to selfie mode. See that? And I think I can do it again to go backwards. I can. So that's how you do that. You may want to leave that on. Just a little shortcut tip there. Tap to check phone just means that when your phone is like this and you tap it, it wakes up. That's all that is. Lift to check, same thing. If you're sitting on a table and you just lift it up, it'll wake up. I have that off because I feel like I get weird pocket touches when I do that. Prevent ringings. Don't worry about it. Flip to shush just means if you got a call or something, you just flip it over. That's kind of it. Anyway, those are just some gestures, and they a lot of them are actually pretty valuable little tools that you should just sort of build into your arsenal of usage. Moving on out of there, we're actually going to go to the home screen and just talk briefly about setting this stuff up. You guys probably know how to do this as an Android phone. None of this has really changed over the years, but to customize, you can long press. There's some home settings. Most of this stuff I would just leave on. None of it's super duper important, but if you ever want to add a widget, this is where you would find widget adding. So you just grab whatever you want, drop it. You guys understand how that works. Long pressing, styles and wallpapers. This area is semi-new for Pixel phones. So this is where all your wallpapers are. Come Alive, this one in particular is exclusive for now, I believe, to the Pixel 4a. But down here, you'll find some style ideas where you can change colors and icon shapes, your font, that sort of thing. So you may want to get a little customization action going on in there. To move things, obviously, you just grab and drag, right? And drop them wherever you want. If you want to make a folder, you just drag two things on top of each other. This is all pretty basic stuff, but let's just make sure everyone knows how to do it. All of your apps are obviously down here in this app drawer. And if you ever want to do something, you just long press and hold and drop it wherever you want. Again, you guys know how to do this, right? Okay, so we're not going to spend too much time here. The other thing to know, though, is up here, and I tell everyone this, and you probably get sick of me saying it, but this quick settings panel area is so important. So when you do your first swipe down, you get these 6 shortcuts that it shows you, and then you have notifications, obviously. These 6, though, you should customize, and basically when you swipe down again, it's these first 6 that show up here. And you should set those up because, again, swiping down once gets you to those, and they're probably the things you're going to want to access the most. So you can see I've got Wi-Fi off and on, my auto rotate, my night lights, do not disturb, my flashlight, and my battery, because those are the things I probably use the most. And then right after those, I have my dark theme and nearby share now for whatever weird reason. Anyways, to customize this, there's this little pencil button. You tap that, and it takes you into an edit screen. And here you just drag and hold. You hold and then drag into whatever order you want, and then you're set. And again, these first 6 are the ones that show up at that first swipe. So make sure you set those first. The other thing to keep in mind is your brightness slider is up here. So here's your brightness slider, and that is the quickest way to adjust brightness. But on Samsung phones, you can have that be within the first swipe. With Pixel phones, it's a second swipe and it's all the way at the top. But either way, home screen settings, really easy to set up. Make sure you get your first 6 up here. There's your brightness slider, and you should be good. Of course, you can access Google Discover over here. You can set up new pages. If you want another new page, you can drag something to it to add another new page. If you want a page to go away, well, you just take everything off of it, and now it goes away. The basics. You guys got that, right? Next up, let's actually use one of those shortcuts. We're going to use this battery because we're going to talk battery for just a second. So if you long press on that battery shortcut, or you go into settings, battery, wherever it is, battery, gets you to the same spot. But I long pressed on that quick settings and it got me in here. So you'll see battery percentage in here. You'll see battery saver modes, which, just tries to turn everything off if you hit a certain battery percent. It's not a bad idea, just in case you aren't paying attention. Also, your battery drops down, you aren't stuck without a charger. Adaptive battery is one of those things I think most people leave on. It can be troublesome here and there, but Google's is okay. If you turn it on, essentially what it does is it tries to kind of recognize how you use your phone, and it'll kill tasks in the background that maybe you aren't using very often. The only thing is It says notifications for some apps may be delayed. So if you're not getting Gmail notifications or Hangouts or your text messaging or your Telegram or whatever, if you're missing notifications, you may want to go in here and either turn this off, or you can go into specific apps and sort of turn off any optimization. Just keep that in mind. One thing in here, though, you should pay attention to is this one, battery percentage. I like toggling this on because it shows me the battery percentage up here at the top of my phone. It's typically not on out of the box. So if you want that rather than just the battery bar, this is exactly where you'll find it. Other stuff in here just kind of shows you how long you've been using your phone, screen on time, things like that. I mean, most of this stuff is just information that nerds like me care about when I'm evaluating. But I like seeing the battery percentage and adaptive battery. If you're having issues with notifications, you may want to, turn that off or something. Okay, so let's go back here and hang out in settings for a little bit. We're going to dive into a number of things. First up is display. So display, there's a bunch of stuff in here worth looking at. The first one is dark theme. So Google has added a dark theme since Android 9-ish or somewhere, Android 10, I can't even remember now. And you can schedule it to turn off and on. And dark theme, I'm talking about this, where it turns everything from light to dark. It's really good to use at night. It's not so blinding on the eyes. If you don't want to manually toggle it on and off all the time, you can have it turn on during a schedule. So far, we only have either no schedule or sunset to sunrise. I can't imagine Google will leave that forever, and they'll probably add a custom schedule like every other phone maker has. But so far, that is all we've got. But you should set that up. It's definitely worth it. Nightlight is, well, let's turn it on. This is where it turns your screen sort of that amberish color to evil little eye strain. It's a blue light filter. You can adjust the intensity of it here if you want to get really orange with it. Set a schedule for that, or utilize that toggle up top there that I showed you. But either way, these are just good tools to have ready when it's nighttime. Adaptive brightness, again, it's sort of like adaptive battery. It kind of tries to learn what your usage patterns are, and then it'll adjust battery for you. So if you leave that on and it notices you adjusting your brightness all the time, it'll try to learn from that. It's actually pretty cool. What else do you need to know? If you want to adjust the sort of color profile of your phone, this is where you'll find that as well. There aren't many options. There's natural, which is a little bit more muted. There's boosted, which kind of ramps up some colors and vibrancy there. And then there's adaptive, which maybe tries to jump between the two a little bit. I just leave mine at adaptive. I think it looks pretty good. That's pretty much it here, though. There are some stuff, again, dark theme, night light, adaptive brightness, and then that color stuff. You may as well set those up now. The next settings area that we'll go to is back one and into sound. So sound settings in general on Android phones have gotten somewhat more complex over the years. Just a couple of things to point out here. You can control all of your different volumes here for media, call, ring, alarm, and those have all been separated now. If you adjust volume with your volume thingy button here, you'll notice it does media now out of the box because it thinks that most people do media stuff rather than need to adjust like their ringtone volume. But if you're in here and you want to adjust something else, there's a little button down here that you can tap that brings this up. So if you're at the home screen, for example, and you're adjusting this and you're like, wait, I want to do my ringtone, tap this little button and it'll bring all of these up, and then you can adjust whatever you want here. Right up here is a button to set you to silent, sound on, or to vibrate. So that's what that is. And then this shortcut down here is very cool. This is live caption. So if you're watching a video and maybe you don't actually have sound on your phone, but you want to see captions, this right here, by turning that on, will show you captions for any video that's playing that has sound. You could be on Twitter watching a video, YouTube, wherever you are, you'll get live captions. It's one of Google's coolest features that they've introduced in some time now. And that's just a toggle for it right there to turn it off and on. You may not want it on all the time, but it is one of those things that I like to play with quite often. Just going back into sound, there's not much else in here, but this is where you'll find your do not disturb settings. So if you want to set those up so that you're not getting calls in the middle of the night, that sort of thing, or notifications and things, this is where you'll find that. I do like now playing. This is the option where if there's music playing around you on your lock screen, it'll show you what music is playing, who the artist is, that sort of thing. This also, I do not believe, is on out of the box. Toggle that on and your phone will listen for music and tell you on your lock screen what's playing. It's really cool. Moving back another screen from there, well, two screens, we're going to scroll down here to digital well-being. So digital well-being, this is the This is the new area where Google is trying to share information with you about how much you're using your phone. So you can see I spend way too much time, a quarter of my time on Twitter. My Galaxy Watch is also using up tons of my time. There's Gmail and phone, all that stuff. Anyway, it's where they're showing you what you're using the most. I don't use a lot of this stuff, but there are some cool things in here like bedtime mode. In between, it'll turn on bedtime mode so it silences some stuff, maybe changes the screen color to those warmer tones to ease on your eye, that sort of thing. You can also just look at individual app usage, and if you tap on this, it'll kind of break everything down for you further. You can set timers on apps to get you to stop using things like Twitter, that sort of thing. Anyway, digital well-being, I haven't found it super useful, but there is a good chance that a number of you will. I think I'm just fine being, addicted. Two more things. The first is Google Assistant. If you have a Google phone, you should probably use Google Assistant. And since there's no buttons or anything down here, well, you have a couple of ways to access it. You can tap on this little guy, and that'll bring up Google Assistant, or you can swipe in from either corner at the bottom here, and that brings up your assistant. Oops. Either corner, and you can do this from anywhere. So if I'm in Chrome, swipe up, you can see Google Assistant fires up. Swipe from this corner, Google Assistant fires up. I don't think I need to tell you guys what Google Assistant does, but it helps you get information, tells you the weather. It'll tell you how tall LeBron James is. It'll answer questions, calculate things, look things up, whatever. You guys know what Google Assistant is. It'll tell you about your day, your commute, read you the news. Google Assistant is very powerful, and so you should know how to use it. And again, that's swiping up from either corner. You can, of course, say the hot word, which is the Google. I'm not going to say it, and that'll fire it up. But if you don't want to do that, you just swipe up from either corner there. Last thing, just so you know, because a lot of people like to take screenshots, hold volume down and power, and that takes screenshots. Just hold that for like a second and a half. It'll take a screenshot, and you can edit it, share it, whatever you want from there. But, screenshots, we all like to take those, don't we? All right, so you have a Pixel 4a. I just showed you what to do to get going. I hope that helps. Actually, you know what? Let's one more thing. Camera. We haven't really looked at the camera. This is the final thing. So camera, you fired that up. In here, you have your night sight for night modes and astrophotography. You have your portrait for those blurry backgrounds. You have video and camera and all these modes. And I'm just scrolling between this stuff to get to it. If you don't see a mode you like, you can slide all the way over to more, and that's where panorama and photosphere and slow motion and time lapse and things are. When you're in just any sort of setting, there is a little pull down menu up here, and that brings you up your flash, your motion photos, your timer if you want. You can change the ratio here, and of course, this is where you get into settings. So if I jump into settings, save locations with the photos that you're taking, there's camera sounds, Google Lens, framing hints. Framing hints are kind of cool. It'll actually try to level out your photos and tell you if they're off or not. Kind of cool. Let's see. Grid. Ooh, I don't even have mine on, and I typically do. There's your grid. Frequent faces tries to recognize people that you take pictures of all the time. Here's where you can change resolutions. Video stabilization, you should probably leave that on. That's pretty much it. That is the Pixel 4a. I hope you guys are now well on your way to kicking behind with your 4a. We're Droid Life. Peace.